So this corruption you are seeing in the current in the country began in the church. Then it went to the world.
Wow.
So the church started corrupting first without anybody knowing we are corrupting. Then later on, the people in the country became now experts at this corruption.
You know what, Archbishop?
Yeah, something happened in that the same case with Benny Hinn when he came here the first time. There was a very big war that rose up against him in the media. A lot of pamphlets were produced against him. And again, we had the people who blocked him from preaching in Uhuru Park. They paid for the Uhuru Park, and they were preachers. And so he went back very offended.
The interview conducted in the GCNews featuring Archbishop Nganga and Bishop Friend Akama indicates that Kenya's preachers scammed foreign preachers when they came here in Kenya early 20,000 and late 1990s. Now this is what they answered to show the reason why we are hosting Benny Hinn to come to clear everything that happened during that time.
Where we used to see miracles happen. I remember when I was a young man, a neighboring woman got healed. She was able to walk in a TL Osborne meeting.
Wow.
And it caused a lot of curiosity in me to know what happened, why was she able to walk. And as we read in the Bible, cripples used to walk in the Bible, blind eyes were opened, dead people were raised. And this is the kind of gospel that was brought during the days of revival from late 1950s up to about 1990s. We had that revival of miracles, signs and wonders. But then there was a shift, and that shift removed that crowd of miracles and brought a crowd of fake miracles. You can remember even Kentien was in the front line of fighting those fake miracles and exposing fake preachers and exposing things that were done that were not right. I hope you have not forgotten Mwende, who used to do this. These are some of the things that
I remember that.
And they caused a lot of shame to the Church of Jesus Christ in Kenya. And part of bringing Benny Hinn in Kenya is about that. Why the shift? Why did this happen? And we remember people, when T.L. Osborne came to this country those many years ago, we see that a lot of preachers rose up that were doing authentic, which we call notable miracles.
Right.
A miracle that can be verified by doctors, a miracle that can be... I also used to do them. I did those miracles in those early days of our ministry because the heavens were supporting us. The air was supporting us. These are some of the things that maybe others may not understand. They may say we are not praying enough, but in Kenya we pray a lot.
That's true.
We read ministries of repentance and what, but there is something that happened and it caused this to happen.
Right.
Yes.
We'll come to that. And I like
you find the Kenyan preachers. There's really none that you can say who would go to, let's say, Nigeria and hold a huge meeting. The other day we had Apostle Salman from Nigeria.
That's true.
And he held a big meeting in Kasarani. And 100,000 or so people gathered. Now, which Kenyan preacher can you tell me has gone, man of God, has gone to Nigeria and done the same? Not even Nigeria, just here Tanzania. Which man of God from Kenya has gone to Tanzania or Uganda and held the same? The man of God, Pastor Kayanja, comes here and hold big meetings. Now, the same has affected our gospel music industry. We don't see Kenyan gospel music being played in Guinea, in Ghana. But we know Nigerian words. We know Chineke, we know Owolowo, those Nigerian. We play their songs here. We play South African songs here.
Congo.
So we play Congolese songs here. The Congolese come here.
That's true.
And if you check the economies, probably Kenya would have a bigger economy. It means Kenya should be really dominating them, even in the area of gospel music. And this looks to have affected even the corporate world, because not many Kenyan companies are having breakthroughs in other countries. They might dominate here, but if they go to another country, they start to struggle. Yeah. Like the Archbishop has said, it seems the atmosphere, the anger is not cooperating with us. There's a problem that is restricting us. And this is why, as spiritual people, as spiritual leaders, we're asking ourselves, what is it and what can we do so that that thing can move and we can see breakthroughs in Kenya that we are seeing in other countries. We are singing Rwandese music here.
Right.
And it's being sung in church.
Tanzanian music.
And a lot of Tanzanian. You have just hosted a Tanzanian group here.
Yes.
Which Kenyan group is being hosted by national TV in Uganda, in Tanzania? So there's a problem. And we need to look at that problem and see what is it that as people we can do, because God is God of all.
That's true.
Yeah, there's no lesser God for Kenya than for Uganda.
That's true. Surely, there is a problem.
There's a problem.
So, Archbishop, what is this problem? Where did the rain start beating us?
Yeah, if we look back towards the 90s, the early 90s, the move of miracles and wonders was there. And as the Bible tells us, there is a man in the Bible called Jabez.
Right.
Jabez discovered that in his life, he had limitations. It's like he had a ceiling, you can't go beyond that. It's like he had a boundary that you can't go beyond this. And Jabez did this. He sought God and he also sought information from other people.
Right.
What causes pain in my life? Why am I limited? Why don't I go as far as I would want? And that is what the church in Kenya has done. Like Jabez. Jabez discovered that his mother cursed him. That is information from people. You don't have to seek God to get such information. Right. He got it from neighbors, he got it from relatives. They told him, don't you know your name is Jabez? That is written in the book of Chronicles. Don't you know the meaning of the word Jabez is pain? So you are limited. Wherever you go, you are not given leeway because something happened. You caused your mother a lot of pain. And then when he heard this information, the Bible says he went to God. And he sought God and told God, if you would extend my boundaries, extend my tent, if you would make me great, if you would make me acceptable among people. And the Bible says God had him. That is what we decided to do as the Church of Kenya.
Right.
We decided to consult and ask,
right,
why did these things happen suddenly? And we got some very astonishing information. We got to know that some of the major prophets that came to this country and did miracles, signs and wonders were offended by the church in Kenya. Because when they brought the gospel to Kenya, they brought it together with the cash. They came with a lot of money and together with the gospel. People like T.L. Osborne also came with a lot of money. Bonnie Saruro. People like T.D. Jakes came with a lot of business people from US. People like Yogi Shaw came with 1,000 business people from South Korea to come and invest here. That is what happened. They did not just come with the gospel, they came with a lot of money. Unfortunately, they found a very poor church in Kenya. So the money was squandered. Some of them were very much offended. And some of them even tried to pursue the mistake that happened, and they were hindered from coming to Kenya. So from that time, things became bad. And when we got this information, we said we will turn to God.
Yeah.
And by turning to God, that is where Benny Hinn is now coming in.
Yeah.
Yes. They had a stomach agenda.
Kwa hivyo hii maneno haijaanza sahi, imeanza kitambo. And so when they left with a heart.
They were offended together with their teams. They left in very bad mood.
Archbishop, help us for someone who does not understand what this means. What does that mean to even that person and to God as well?
Now, if we think about the book of Matthew, look, they say that if a minister of the gospel comes your way and you offend them, you refuse to receive them, what happens is they curse you. It's like these people left a curse because they did not leave us with the peace. They left us very unhappy. Even some of them today, because we have approached some of the major ministers of the gospel, they are saying, I will never come back to Kenya. Kenya is not a good country. The church in Kenya is not good. But it is some few individuals who caused these men of God to speak about Kenya as a whole, whereas they offended just a group of Christians.
All right.
And therefore, we took the initiative to go and find these men of God and tell them we are sorry.
Yeah.
We are sorry. We are sorry. And as we told them we are sorry, we decided to invite one of the major men of God in the world, that is Benny Hinn,
right,
to come here and bless this country. That's why the poster is written, Healing the Nation. Of course, he will heal the nation financially, physically, spiritually. But the idea here was to come and heal the church in Kenya, to come and restore the glory that was lost due to mismanagement of finances and other things that happened between visiting preachers and local preachers. And we believe that by turning to him and telling him, on behalf of all those preachers, come and bless this country. When he blesses this country, everything will turn around. And these things will happen.
All right.
Now, let me tell you, Ndiama, you know, there was a prophecy about Kenya.
Yeah.
Right as far as back as 1957.
True.
That Kenya, God has marked Kenya to be the springboard, to be the chemichemi of revival across Africa and the world. Now, for God to bring about this prophecy to come to pass, you know, things in the spiritual, God doesn't train it from heaven. He sends somebody with it. So for God sent people, for example, with the healing grace. When the man of God, T.L. Osborne, came, because he wasn't offended. He was able to live that which God has sent him to live here. And that's why we had people like Apostle Joe Kayo, who rose up from the revival with T.L. Osborne, even Daddy Archbishop Kitonga, the man of God Mrima. They came out of that revival. Because at that time our hearts were clean, we didn't offend that man of God. Yes. But God sent others later with different graces: financial grace, grace for mega churches, grace for business. But instead of welcoming and receiving the gift of God in the man, we offended that man, and by extension of that gift, and the man left with what God has sent him to bring. So God was not able to make that prophecy come to pass. So we are still springboard of revival. We are not seeing the revival that we should have been seeing. We are still springing.
Archbishop says we haven't been catapulted yes, to where we are supposed to be.
So we are welcoming this man of God, because this is not the first time Benny Hinn is coming.
That's true.
This is the second time. But the first time he came, even him, he was offended. You know, in Kenya, we have preachers who can hold crusades. So it is not for the lack of preachers who can fill a stadium. Archbishop here at the crossover overnight, he had about 60,000 people in Kasarani for the crossover overnight. So it is not a show of might of how we can organize a big crusade. Right. Kenyans here can do it. So why Benny Hinn? We are using, because Benny Hinn is one of the preachers who came. We have talked about Evangelist Reinhard Bonke. You know, Reinhard Bonke in Kisumu, where your brother went.
Yes.
You know, God had told the man of God Bonke to put his offices here in Kenya, to use Kenya as a springboard to evangelize Africa. And he put his offices here. But then when he put money for crusade, other people misappropriated, and he got so offended, he collected his office and went and put it in Nigeria. Wow. And that's why you see open heavens in Nigeria for evangelism. So Benny Hinn, when he came here last time, he was one of the preachers that offended deeply. And I'd like Daddy, because he was there, to narrate this.
Please, Archbishop.
Yeah.
What happened? And you don't have to go granular on the details, but something happened, right?
Yeah, something happened in that the same case with Benny Hinn. When he came here the first time, there was a very big war that rose up against him in the media. A lot of pamphlets were produced against him. And again, we had the people who blocked him from preaching in the Uhuru Park. They paid for the Uhuru Park, and they were preachers. And so he went back very offended.
And these were, this was not the government, these were preachers.
No, the government was not there. This was were the preachers. And these things happened here in this country. So that spirit that performs miracles among people was offended. When it removed, we started fake miracles. People started now receiving miracles that were not true. People started pretending they are miracles they are doing, but they were not true. People would come crippled in the church, pretend they have been healed. But this was just show, because the real thing had gone away. So our duty as now the organizing committee, because we are all pastors and preachers in that steering committee to bring Benny Hinn back, we have now gone to all the pastors in this city of Nairobi, to every corner of, because most of these sins were done in Nairobi. Most of these men of God were hurt here in the city. They had their money taken away. They built institutions here in Nairobi. They were taken away. Some of them bought land here in Nairobi, and it was taken away, and they were blocked from coming back to Kenya. You know, you just have to report that this man is not good. The immigration just blocks him without seeking details.
Right.
Because the locals are saying he is not.
I know, and they have
that is what happened.
Yeah.
So most of them would come to Jomo Kenyatta. You find you are blocked. You can't enter. They would spend there a whole week.
Yeah.
Go back. Very offended, speaking very bad things. And now we are trying to collect data, and that's why we went all around the country. And wherever we went to a pastor's fellowship, we did not go to the members of the church. These people are not offended by members of the church.
It's the pastors.
No, they were offended by men of God like us.
Right.
So we gathered men of God in 24 occasions in this country. All over Nairobi. We went even further, we went to Kajiado. One of the major men of God was offended there. The TD Jakes. He was building some, he was drilling some wells.
Boreholes, right.
And he was overcharged 10 times. And he was very angry. And he cried there. So that is where we went. And the local pastors confessed that we were there when this man of God was crying and saying that his money has been taken by force. And now you can imagine these things. So we went to and gathered pastors everywhere, and we told them why Benny Hinn is coming back. And they supported us financially.
Right.
Because we said, you can't call a foreign preacher to say sorry, and he is also bringing his own money to do the crusade.
Yeah, you
so
need to
we
be a
said,
blessing to them.
Benny Hinn should not bring his money here to do crusades. Of course, there were stories like the government is sponsoring the crusade. But we know, we are in Kenya, we know the process of sponsoring anything in Kenya from the government. You have to go to parliament, you have to pass a bill, it has to be accepted, and then it has to go to the financial committee. The financial committee approves it. But do you see the Kenyan parliament approving a crusade money? It is not possible. So the government cannot do that. And so,
yeah, because that has been said.
Yeah, and it is excitement.
Yeah.
Because the team that went to look for Benny Hinn and say, sorry for what happened, please come back to our country. The first lady of this republic was there.
Part of that, right.
Now even you, when you see the first lady of the Republic of Kenya,
it feels
that
like
is the government.
Yeah.
And that is why they say
like
government.
A government project.
But there was no Minister of Finance there.
Yeah.
There was no Minister of whatever.
Yeah.
It was just a church member. She went there as a member of the church.
All right.
So it was construed that, the government. This is a delegation from Kenya of the government.
Yeah.
But there were no ministers there. It was not an official thing.
Right.
It was a church thing. So we went to the pastors and we would tell them what happened. And some of them gave us more information. In fact, we collected more information from them that we initially knew. They told us exactly what happened. Right. So and so did this and this happened. I would not mention their names because they have already repented.
Yeah.
And some of them we have faced them personally.
Yeah.
And they have told us now what we did when we were young like you people. So now you don't do what we did. That is one of them. He told me exactly that. Don't do what we did. We are sorry for what we did because we were looking at the money, how we would benefit. Don't do the same. And I will not do the same.
And it's good that some of those people can confess, right?
Yeah, they confessed. Yeah, some of them even are living in those houses, which they grabbed from foreigners.
The money.
Now it is not wrong. So this corruption you are seeing in the current in the country began in the church. Then it went to the world.
Wow.
So the church started corrupting first without anybody knowing we are corrupting. Then later on, the people in the country became now experts at this corruption.
You know what, around?
I don't know whether you have noted that since those things were done, the church went quiet. We no longer criticize, we no longer say anything from the late 90s. They stopped.
Wow.
Because now we also had the same problem. Yes.
Now you have seen whatever they have said during early 90s. There were miracles which are happening, and according to Archbishop Nganga, he used to do those miracles that we see in other countries, but here in Kenya, the preachers, they don't do the same miracles. Now it's because of Kenyan preachers becoming greedy and scammed other preachers who God sent them here in Kenya. And you have seen the narration, and whatever they have said, they need to clear everything, because this has also affected gospel musicians here in Kenya. We have seen gospel musicians from other countries coming here in Kenya and doing great work. But when it comes to Kenya's musicians, they don't even go to our neighboring countries and do the same things. These gospel musicians from Tanzania, from Nigeria, South Africa, what they do, they try, but they don't reach the same level to those musicians from other countries. They might dominate here in Kenya, but you find that we have missing thing, or we have missing glory in them. When it comes to preachers, we have seen preachers from other countries, especially from Nigeria, like Apostle Joshua Seraman, coming here Kenya and hosting over 100,000 people, preaching to them there during Ramafest. Now we have seen even Kayanja from Uganda coming here in Kenya and having a very great event here in Kenya. But when it comes to Kenyans preachers, when they go outside country, it's like they don't do anything when they go to those countries, because the same level, it is limited. Even when it comes to companies here in Kenya, they can dominate here in Kenya, but when they go outside the Kenya, they start going down. So meaning whatever happened during that time, as it was, as the Archbishop and the Bishop friend Akama, they have explained, it has not only affected Christians, it has also affected the economy of this country. And that's why sometimes you find we are going down. We find the politics here in Kenya, they don't head. Every time it is politics. And this politics, they are affecting us, and you find that we are not achieving whatever the politics they gave when they wanted our vote. So there's a reason why Benny Hinn is being brought here in Kenya and be hosted on 24th and 26th, because we need him to break the curse that he and other preachers, prominent preachers who came here in Kenya, they left. Because the word says when you go somewhere and you are rejected, then that country become cursed, or that place become cursed, because they have rejected man of God. And that is what happened in early 2000 and the late 1990s. We need to break this curse. We need to embrace and move on and go to that event which is happening here in Nairobi. Kenya, Nyayo Stadium, we cry to God, and through this man of God that God has sent him here in Kenya, then this country shall be healed, both economically and even spiritually. We shall see great miracles. We shall see our leaders here in Kenya conducting great miracles. We shall see people from Kenyan musicians going to other countries. We shall see Kenyan musicians or Kenyan gospel be sung in other countries. But when we relax, we don't follow what God needs us to do, then there are things that will happen and maybe might affect us. So it's very important we understand that the coming of Benny Hinn, it is very crucial for Kenya, not only spiritual realm, but even economic and other things. We shall see them happening, because I'm very sure God has sent him, and he shall break everything that has happened during those times, and we shall start seeing miracles happening. We shall start seeing economy improving. We shall start seeing great things happening here in Kenya because of embracing him and letting the curse be brought down, because he was the one, he was also affected during those times. This is GCNews, Stephen. God bless you.